What is up, everyone? Welcome to a review for Star Wars: The Clone Wars Episode 5.9, A Necessary Bond. This is the last part of the Young Jedi arc, and I understand I'm uploading this once again a week late. I don't want to make this a regular habit or anything. I've stated that before. It's just I originally had this video a bit longer than 15 minutes, and I don't have that privilege on my new channel yet to upload videos longer than 15 minutes. So I kind of postponed it, and kind of dozed around until now, where I'm actually ready to record my review of the episode again, shorter. Um, so let's begin. Like I've stated in my last review, I don't want to talk about the plot. I just want to jump to the review. But this was the conclusion to the arc, and it's something about arc conclusions that just always fit right. Kind of like Karn Krell, Brain Invaders, Liberty on Ryloth. All these great arc endings, and they're usually the best episodes of that arc. And the same can be said for A Necessary Bond. Um, there's so many reasons why. This is the most action we've had in the arc, and action doesn't always mean it's a good episode, but the action this episode, we actually got to see some younglings killing droids, which is pretty sweet. We're just waiting for that moment where they actually start using their lightsaber, deflecting laser bolts and stuff like that. We got another big duel. We got a rematch, which I was, excited to see. Rematch between Ahsoka and Grievous. This time Ahsoka definitely, had you know, a, not as tough as the time with Grievous. It was very entertaining. It was very, like well paced of a like a fight. Not as impressive as any of the Darth Maul Obi-Wan duels that we've seen so far, but this was very good. I was thrilled to see a rematch between Grievous and Ahsoka. Um, and I believe that if Ahsoka stuck around, she could have disarmed Grievous and all that, captured him right there and then. But no, they escaped on the Slave One, which is another awesome thing about this episode, is that we get to tie up. We actually see the Slave One in its sort of Boba Fett stage, which just it blew my mind. I was like, whoa, yeah. So somewhere near the end of the series, we just have to see how Boba Fett finds this ship and flies it off Florum. Though we don't know where the Slave One goes after this episode's over, because once Hondo takes the younglings and Ahsoka up on the Republic attack cruiser, we don't really see where the Slave One is. So your assumption is that it could be in the hands of the Republic military. But no one really knows where it is at this point. They haven't really said anything about that yet. Though, I remember if for those of you who collect Hasbro action figures, between season 2 and 3, they hand out these codes in the action figure packs, which would allow you to enter them online, and you get like a video sort of interview with Dave Filoni about something that happened in the Clone Wars, and one of those about the Slave One, how Ahsoka ironically crashed the ship, and this time she was rescued by the ship. I thought that was pretty cool bit of irony. Um, and so Hondo is this kind of car guy, just another added element to Hondo. He's just as original as the character can get. He's basically the car guy of Star Wars, and he collects ships, gives him his paint job and everything, and that's basically what happened to the Slave One. If you look closely, there's a crack in the middle of the ship that that is there in Empire Strikes Back, which is the same crack that happened when the Slave One crashed on Florum about a year before. So I'm just glad they touched up on that a bit. And the other thing, which is probably the best part about this episode, is we finally got to see Dooku's revenge on Hondo. It's kind of one of those things that's been floating in the back of the show for a while now. Like everyone was saying, oh, maybe at the end of season 1, like the finale is gonna be Dooku gets revenge on Hondo, or season 2 premiere, Dooku gets revenge on Hondo, or season 2 finale, Dooku gets revenge on Hondo. But we get this at the end of a Young Jedi arc. I can believe there's many reasons why they've had this why they chose to put it at the end of an arc about younglings. For one, they want to see the younglings, make them seem as to rhyme with the moral size matters not. That they are indeed powerful. they can help out quite a bit. And, that sort of morality fits in with, the pirates have been chasing the Jedi this whole time, and now they're forced to help, they're forced to use their help to take back the base. And, the Jedi keep their word, they don't deceive them, and the pirates don't deceive them either. Um, and that's just an interesting we haven't really seen before. I mean, we've seen interesting team ups. I remember at Celebration 6, Dave Filoni said this season's going to be all about team ups, sort of like unexpected team ups. Back in season 4 we had Ventress and Obi-Wan, but that's pretty much the most that's just like one of the best team ups we had so far, and this one's even better. It's these younglings with the pirates. They're complete at odds. Um, though we all get to see them in action, sort of. They all have their moments in this episode. But I was glad they wrapped up the loose end of Duke's Revenge on Hondo. That was pretty good. I thought Grievous was a good person for that. And he pretty much leaves Hondo's base in ruin once this is all done and said for, which is how we find his base in episode 5.1 Revival. So really everything is now bridged together. We have this complete chain of where Hondo gets involved. And these events have been pretty close to each other too. I'm thinking that right after the Onderon arc, Ahsoka was assigned as a break to escort these younglings, and of course, look, it's Grievous. Poor Ahsoka. I guess that's why she seems so annoyed in this arc all the time. Though there's only one complaint I have in this episode, and that is at the very beginning when the Crucible is flying over the pirate tank to rescue the younglings, and Ganudi reaches down and she picks up, I forget which one, but she picks up a youngling. She's holding on to dear life to hold them on. No one else is helping Ganudi. Someone else jumps on that youngling. Someone else jumps on that youngling. This whole chain of younglings. But here's the thing. Ganudi's holding them all up, and they probably all weigh more than her. I mean, she's like the smallest youngling here. Between her and Zad, she's probably like the weakest youngling present. And so I was like, what? It didn't really make any sense at all to me. How Ganudi was holding up all of these younglings. I mean, what is she like? She used the Force. I don't think they can all use the Force quite yet. And it's, not like she can carry 4 people who all weigh more than her. So really that was just animation error. I mean, I thought she would have done it if she held on to Huyang. Well, of course, he could use his legs or something. R2-D2, yeah, that too, but no, not Ganudi all by herself. So that's just a little error in the beginning of the episode. Other than that, this was a pretty well-paced episode. It just seems like how fast the beginning was, kind of like how the pirates have captured the Jedi within 2 minutes, and then they come back and they're on the edge, and they're like, "Well, we need your help now." It just seems too repetitive how the pirates keep capturing the Jedi back and forth. That's one of the mistakes you can make in the long run of making an arc, is kind of if you don't organize your events correctly. Kind of in the Honor Run arc, how at the end of an episode or the beginning of an episode they would have a hollow message, and at that point you're like, well, that could have been the end of the last episode and this could have been the beginning of this episode. It doesn't really, it's one of those mistakes you make in the long run, so that really doesn't partake to the whole episode. I just felt that they shouldn't have it had like that repetitive a thing where the Jedi are getting caught all the time. But other than that, that about sums up my thoughts on this episode. So thank you for watching. The Unnecessary Bond gets an 8.5 out of 10. But now let's move on to a review of the Young Jedi arc. So, let's talk about this arc. Was it unique? Yes, it was very unique. We got to see younglings make their lightsabers. Is it really anything impressive? Kind of. When I say kind of, I mean it's like we haven't seen anything where the younglings are creating crystals. We haven't seen that before. That's a new element. And it's a pretty cool thing too, kind of how they have to imagine, they have to see their lightsabers in their hands. I like that kind of aspect. It feels very much like feels very much oriented with the Force, that kind of mythos in there. This arc felt very Star Wars-like too. Though, here's the thing I get a kick out of. It felt Star Wars-like. Yes, very Star Wars-like. Was it dumbed down for the kids? Yes, it was dumbed down for the kids. And that was really the biggest mistake they made with this arc. Kids like this show because the action, sort of like the realism of it, though it's in like a sort of sci-fi universe. Of course, they have to have those cliche moments in the show, otherwise, it doesn't have any sort of feel to it. It just feels like, it just doesn't have any feel to it. Um, you can't pick it up, you can't throw it, if you know what I mean, but without those sort of cliches, these episodes wouldn't have any rhyme or reason to them. Though there was way too many. Test of Strength, that was just a terrible episode because they dumbed it down so much that I was not being entertained at all. And you realize they gotta partake not just to the kids, but to the adults. I mean, of course, give each group their share, but won't all the age groups watch the show anyway? Haven't the little ones been watching Darth Maul stab people on the screen? Haven't they been watching Death Watch burn people to death in the past season? I mean, like they're the sense of dumbing this down for the sake of the kids is just not right. And I think they could have done a better job making the kids more realistic. That was one of the biggest mistakes of this whole entire arc, was never making the younglings never identifying like who they are. Like all they are younglings getting crystals caught. They're like the spectators of this whole adventure. And the star of this felt like Hondo and Ahsoka. It never really felt like the younglings. It just honestly, I thought this was like Hondo's Adventures. That's what the arc should have been called, Hondo's Adventures, with younglings. And the first episode could have been a backstory to how he ran into these younglings. They were on a mission from Ilum. So that would be my thoughts on the Hondo's Adventure arc. I'm just kidding, the Young Jedi arc. And if you add up all the scores from the past episodes, you would get a 6.2 out of 10, which is horrible. But, what can you say? 6.2 out of 10. That's just like the overall arc. But, can't beat Onderon, unfortunately. Can't beat any of the arcs out there, and Umbara arc is still at the top in my opinion, which has got an 8.5 out of 10 overall. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please rate, comment, subscribe. Do check out my Castle of Glass Young Jedi arc tribute that I made about a week ago. Castle of Glass. It's a Linkin Park song. I do a bunch of those. I'll probably do an arc for the a music video for the Droids arc that has come on TV. Look for that soon. So thank you for watching. I'll be seeing y'all later.